Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome. We are the Owatonna School Board. This is Monday. It's the 22nd of May at 5:30. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Eric, our attendance tonight?
Perfect attendance.
Let's start by rising for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First up tonight would be to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor with an aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. I'm going to turn things over to Mr. Elstad. Item number 4 tonight is our mission moment.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, there's nothing that pleases me more than seeing a boardroom full of students. And we've got a lot of them here tonight that we want to recognize. We're going to recognize 3 different student groups that have demonstrated excellence in some of our extracurricular activities this winter and spring. The first activity I'm going to recognize is our speech team, and so Kinsey Carlson and Elijah Leone are here. I'd like you to come up to the podium if you would, please. The OHS speech team had another great year. 12 students qualified for the state speech meet, and as Haley and Jace have told us, that's the largest number, I think, from a school that had qualified for the state speech meet. They joined a total of 672 students competing for Class A and AA championships. 2 of our students, Elijah and Kinsey, advanced to the finals, both in the same category of discussion. Elijah Leone placed 5th, and Kinsey Carlson was named the state champion. Speech is a competitive activity that fosters learning the art of public speaking, but encompasses so much more than just speaking. It involves analysis, performance, research, writing, leadership, creativity, listening, and more, promoting personal growth and achievement. Thank you to our dedicated speech coaches, Marcia Anderson, Mark Anderson, and Haley Richer, and congratulations to another stellar year. Let's give them a round of applause. Members of the board, do you have any questions for this group of students?
So at home, there's really no more discussions with adults in your house, right? You're like, I was 5th place in the state, so I guess I just win, right?
Obviously.
Yeah, okay. Congratulations, very exciting. That's awesome.
Congratulations to both of you, and thank you for representing the community of Owatonna and Owatonna High School so well. Thank you. Our next student group that we want to recognize tonight is our Knowledge Bowl team. And so I'd ask that David Smith, Aiden Engel, Henry Bond, Gavin Karen, Lily Wynn, as well as Mr. Saylor and Mr. Smith, their coaches, please come forward. Our Knowledge Bowl team placed 1st at state, becoming state champions for the very first time in Owatonna High School history. Their score of 157.5 is one of the highest point totals in the state meet's 40-year history. When we do it right. Thank you for that. Knowledge Bowl is an academic competition where teams compete against each other to be the first to answer the question correctly. It tests students' recall abilities, problem solving, and critical thinking skills in a variety of academic subjects. Over 800 teams from 290 Minnesota school districts participate in senior high Knowledge Bowl competitions. A special thank you to Coach Dan Saylor and Dean Smith, and congratulations on an amazing season. Very first state champions for Knowledge Bowl. Let's give them a round of applause. Board members, you have human computers here, so ask them any questions you'd like. This is the not so artificial intelligence that's in front of you right here. Questions at all?
Are you a representative all grades in the school?
No, actually, we've been a team since freshman year, and we were all freshmen. And we're all seniors now.
So like what was the question that you guys really clinched that you think's like one?
Hurricane. Yeah.
No, really, tell us the question. I'd love to hear it.
All right, so
Do you remember the question?
yeah, so it was like, what event
caused the first mandatory. And David buzzed in. Yeah.
Oh, so at mandatory you buzzed in, okay.
And Henry Bond said Hurricane Katrina.
And that was the right answer?
So you guessed, Wow,
That's amazing.
wow. So you don't even have to wait for the whole question before you answer?
No, very rarely does it actually the whole question gets right. Yeah.
Oh, really?
They should call it
It's like a game show.
I'd be asking him to repeat that.
Interesting.
So it's like Jeopardy, there's a strategy there. You buzz in right away and you'll hear the rest of the, in this case, the answer first, but yeah. Very cool.
Awesome.
Congratulations, and I think the community of Owatonna, I know the community of Owatonna, and certainly our school community is proud of you, because we do well in other things, but we're also pretty darn intelligent here. And this is just a testimony, I think, of the work of our teaching staff as well as you as students to really take that, go that extra mile, to learn more and to study and research. So thank you for representing us so well. I'll ask, we're going to keep these three individuals up here. So I would ask the following individuals from our high school robotics team to come forward. Jack Ryder, Aaron Baker, Joey Hellerud, Nora Cowell, Braylon Robbins, Asher Green, Audrey Hudak, and Veronica Morales. I think most were able to make it tonight. This is great. The OHS Rebel Alliance robotics team won the Northern Lights' first robotics regional tournament, which qualified them for the national tournament for the first time in school history. They joined 608 other teams at nationals in Houston, Texas. Building and programming a robot to compete against other teams is the main goal, but robotics involves much more than that. It teaches teamwork, problem solving, communication, time management, project planning, and many other lifelong skills, plus incorporates giving back through community service and outreach. Congratulations to our team, and thanks to their coach, Sean Robbins. Sean, would I have you come forward as well, please? Thank you. And all of the mentors, if we have any of our mentors that are here tonight that help with this, because this is a tremendous effort by our mentors as well.
Don't be shy.
This truly takes a village to raise this team. Thank you to all of you for your dedication. Again, I love robotics, but hearing you speak, I had a chance a couple weeks ago at a Rotary meeting to hear, I think Aiden was there, and Aaron was there. And just to hear you speak about all of the pieces, so it's not just you're putting a robot together. There's about 3 million other things that happen that really build those lifelong skills. Thank you for representing us so well. I have one question, then I'll leave it up to the board. What was it like to hit the floor in Houston? Crazy?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me more, Lily.
They had all the, so they break you into divisions once you get there, because obviously they can't have 600 teams on one field. But all the fields are like lined up with all the stands on either side, so it's like a quarter of a mile long of just like fields of competition, and it's really crazy.
Fantastic. I've been able to watch them because they live stream them. I've been able to watch them, and it's just incredible to see teams work. And I love the costumes. I mean, the Rebel Alliance costumes. I mean, it's right down. I was 10 years old again watching Luke Skywalker in Star Wars New Hope. So, thank you for that. Board members have any other questions, comments? Thank you. Appreciate that. One more round of applause for our robotics team. I'll close by saying this to members of the board. So many times we see and we read about in the paper sports teams that do really well, maybe other things that go well. These are some of the lesser known activities, but when you think about these activities and what they require of our students, those activities are essential for lifelong learning and what they'll do professionally in their careers. So I love the fact that you can be in about anything you want to be in at Owatonna High School, including if you want to be on a state champion Knowledge Bowl team and be part of the robotics team. That's incredible. And we don't lift this up enough, I think, in our schools, because these are just as important as football or basketball or hockey or track or whatever. And so I really appreciate it. And parents, thank you so much for bringing your kids tonight. You should be proud, very proud, because this is what Owatonna High School is about. So thank you.
Again, congratulations and thanks to all of you for participating tonight. Thank you. We're going to move on to item 5, which is public forum. We do have a card from Mr. Parrish. Mr. Parrish, as you make your way up, it is a good opportunity for me to remind everyone of the importance of meeting decorum. We do not allow slander, defamation, profanity, personal attacks, or revelations of private data. And as chair, I respectfully request that the public refrain from interrupting Mr. Parrish during the public forum. You'll be provided 3 minutes. Asked to state your name while we know your name and the subject you would like to address.
All right. Well, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you folks tonight. I wasn't sure what to expect when I came to the meeting, so I didn't really prepare much of a topic to discuss. But I'll just read you the email that I sent to Mr. Elstad just this afternoon. So I believe he probably hasn't even had a chance to read the email, much less let alone to respond to it. But my request is rather timely, as the event that it's in question is this Wednesday. So I'll just read the email that I sent. So this is what I sent. I'm writing to you this afternoon in regard to a recent change in policy, or perhaps enforcement of current policy, that has caught us off guard and has my 9-year-old daughter feeling quite excluded and sad. She was told that she is not able to attend the end of the year school field trip to the zoo, which is happening this Wednesday. Mrs. Aw directed us to contact the principal, who reached out to Sarah Hoffman, who replied that students only attend the field trips that align with their content areas that they attend. So Tessa is primarily homeschooled, but does currently attend Washington Elementary School for gym and music, art and other classes in the past. So for the last 2 years, she has been invited to and included with school field trips in regard to what content areas the field trips were for. She has really enjoyed them, and we are grateful for those experiences. So lately, with policies being enacted to include everyone and make them feel welcome, are there any circumstances that would allow her to attend the field trip on Wednesday and any future field trips that her class attends? So really what it came down to is my daughter's homeschooled. She does, however, attend Washington Elementary School part-time. In the past, she's been included with school events and field trips and such, but just recently she was told she wouldn't be allowed to attend the field trip, since the field trip is to the Minnesota Zoo, doesn't really align with music or with gym. So I would humbly ask that the board and Mr. Elstad consider allowing my daughter and other homeschool students that also attend school, in elementary, of course, part-time, to be included with this.
Okay.
I've got.
Mr. Parrish, thank you. We will move on. Item 6 tonight, which is just the general information. Do any of you have any questions for the information that was contained in the enrollment report for Mr. Elstad?
Actually, I do have a quick question. Just in looking at the enrollment reports over the last several months and seeing where the schools are, and Lincoln is just busting at the seams, it seems. And so just wondering, how are we looking at that down the road in terms of knowing that they have a couple pods already out in the yard? And at what point do we need to address that?
That's a great question. The board will have to address that. This summer, we're gathering some demographic information. I know that Lori Bowles has been in contact. We have a demographer, along with potentially some other resources to pull in data. Nobody in the community likes to hear boundary shifts. But when we have growth in one area, and to honor the neighborhood school piece, the board will have to investigate that again, so I can foresee that coming up this summer and into next fall, because I believe that we're going to have producing some answers with that, because we're also seeing other neighborhoods within our community kind of lose folks that are living there, so it's out of balance. We just did boundary shift 7 years ago. And in 7 years' time, we've seen that shift again, but you're right, the numbers at Lincoln are very high. Where I believe if you look at facility capacity, we're at about 110% capacity at Lincoln. But if you look at Wilson and or McKinley, right now we have a couple of classrooms that are not being used. So,
Say, Jeff, can I just ask a clarifying question? This is a topic you've been monitoring for some time. I mean, I appreciate the question, Elizabeth, but it's not, I just want to be clear, it's been watched for some time. And secondly, when we did the boundary shift 7 years ago, I have 5 years in my mind as sort of the lifespan of that decision and those choices. Would that be fair, or is there
Yep, crystal balling enrollment is about a 5 to maybe 7 years sort of proposition. But again, we've had a lot more movement, and some of it goes to where will future homes be built. I mean, if you follow some of the work with the economic development piece, there are other places, and so we have to be cognizant of what might be there even 10 years down the line. But certainly, this has been an issue, and we've seen it bubbling and growing. We've been able to manage it thus far, but I think moving forward, we're going to have another answer for that. And shifting boundaries isn't as easy as a letter. It's a lot of study and who gets impacted, and so I know that Lori will be digging into some of those enrollment numbers as well, but you can expect more information coming probably late summer, early fall on that topic. So, thank you.
Good question. Anybody else? Okay. Hearing none, let's move on. Item 7 tonight is discussion items, no action required by us. We'll start with board forum. Jolene, do you mind if I start on your end?
Yeah, I'm good. Got nothing.
All right, Deborah?
I've got nothing.
The only thing you'll see on the agenda tonight, a couple of policy committee items, both first reading and second reading, so I can address those
Okay.
a little bit more when we get into
All right,
this.
good, thank you. I actually have a couple of items tonight. This is our last meeting here at the Owatonna High School. And I'm sure Mr. Elstad is going to do a deeper dive on this maybe a little bit later, but we have, the decommissioning, I suppose you would call it, of this structure, and there really isn't a good reason for us to keep things like air conditioning and that sort of thing running. So we will move from June on back to the district office. Our meetings will be held at the district office until that shared space at the city council chamber would be available, and that's under construction now. It would be probably anybody's guess, but they were estimating that it would be November. So we'll have, probably 5 or 6 months of meeting at the district office. I did want to mention that last week there was a chamber growth breakfast on Thursday morning, and the guest speakers were Dr. Nuga from the retiring Riverland president, as well as a retiring chancellor, Devinder Malhotra. It's a pretty fun meeting when you sit behind the superintendent and they're talking about education. And I think the two of us were right on the edges of our seat. Everyone else kind of was just another breakfast, but we haven't really downloaded on that one yet. And there was a lot of very substantive information that was shared by those two gentlemen. I did want to point out, and it was contained in our report, but a kind of another kudos to Michelle Krell and this district. Owatonna Online is picking up both Albert Lee and Northfield with the students that would be enrolled in the Owatonna Online program. And that is, again, a very, very outstanding representation of what is happening here within our school district. Obviously it came about as a result of COVID, and subsequent to that, the speed with which Michelle Krell and her team put together an online curriculum is commendable. We have kids all over the state that are participants in our online, and those two communities in particular were basically shutting down their online structure, and we picked them up, so thank you. I'd be quick to remind the board we have a work session coming up on the 14th, and my last comment is directed to the young lady down on my right. Haley, we're going to miss you. When Mr. Elstad introduced the idea of a student representative, I think what you have done here captured what his dream was. You've done an outstanding job. You're going to do great.
Thank you.
You're going to do really great. I'm going to pass it on. Anything for board forum?
Nothing tonight. Nothing for me.
Yes, thank you. So, recent discussion actually with my mother. She went to Harding High School, graduated from Harding High School. So, we had talked about the stabbing that occurred there this year. And she said, so, well, what is Owatonna doing for safety in our schools? And I thought that'd be good to address that at some point. And I would like to address that at some point, especially with the new high school. I know that there are features going into the school. But then also things are happening at younger and younger ages, so thinking about middle school and elementary school as well.
Writing that down as a topic for
Yep.
a future, be it probably best for, I believe, a work session where we could really dig in on that. Thank you. Haley?
National Honor Society just completed a successful color run on Saturday, which was really great because it got canceled the week before, so it was great that we got to have that. I believe over $1,000 was raised for community pathways in Owatonna, which was really great to see, so hopefully it's an event that can continue in the future as well.
Magnet just concluded their publication series, so very shortly, Magnet will be publishing a grad print or a graduation print, and so that's going to be an exciting opportunity for the Owatonna Magnet to essentially express ideas and opinions about the graduating class and how we transition into the future, especially Haley's class. And I have nothing left other than this is finals week and stress is at maximum.
You're gonna make it.
Yeah,
You're
you're
gonna
almost
make
there.
it, Jace, I promise.
You'll make it. Thank you. I'm going to turn things over to Mr. Elstad for the administrative report. Oh,
Can
go
we do
ahead.
policy revisions? First reading? I didn't comment on that.
Please do, sure.
Jolene, you,
Okay, yeah, no, I'm sorry, I missed that part.
See,
So
I
we had a
started-
policy meeting.
I don't have that on my.
Last
Do you want me to go?
So, yeah,
Okay,
please, I'm sorry.
Okay, so last week, and
yeah.
walked in and the conversation started with all of us that, a lot of this is just, supplemental minor changes until it wasn't. Because as we started to look through, we really spend a ton of time talking about, here's the minor change, but is this what we're practicing? Is this what's happening versus the policy reflection? And so, again, changes might seem minor, but we really do a deep dive of what is the reality of this? How does it play out? What adjustments do we need to make or not make so everything is aligned? And a lot of really good discussion. And a couple of them, I don't know off the top of my head, but we tabled them because we have to do further investigation with cabinet members to bring it back for a board governance review. So,
Maybe I'll just make another comment. So again, just a reminder sort of the process here. So this is a first reading. And Mr. Parrish, I appreciate your comments. I don't know if you looked at the agenda before you came in tonight, but some of the topics that you're interested in are in fact reflected in the policies that are, again, at a first reading. So it is an opportunity for us to certainly take another look. I appreciate there's a timeliness. I'm sure Mr. Elstad will be in touch. But in any event, yeah, please do take a look. I think, the field trips one is one example where I think we realize there's not much policy change, that it's a really sound policy generally. But nonetheless, the issues of homeschooling, shared students was a challenging and interesting topic that we wrestled with to try to really understand what is our intent and purpose as it relates to
Can you
shared
speak more
students.
to that? Shared student, can you talk a little bit, talk about what a shared student is and some of the
I'm gonna defer
policies
you.
that are part of this?
I'm going to defer to our professionals. Jeff, or, I don't know.
Yeah, so a shared time student is a student that may be enrolled in another private and or homeschool that does take courses. We have students in K-12, and so the policy, the enrollment guidelines, that's a maximum of 2 hours of shared time per day. That includes grades K through 5 or one block for grades 6, 12, recognizing that at the middle school, we have a modified block or an 8-period day, but it would be the equivalent of one block at both of those buildings. The classes requested have to be those that aren't offered in their current space. They have to attend the facility in their attendance area. There is some dates of enrollment, and Sarah Hoffman is our enrollment specialist with our homeschool, particularly our homeschool families that use shared time. Shared time students, there's a couple things that draws it out. They're not eligible for academic awards, academic honors, or academic recognition, nor are they eligible to receive a high school diploma from Owatonna High School. They are, however, able to participate in Minnesota State High School League activities, but that is governed by a Minnesota statute, so that's called out in the policy as well. So again, a shared time student are those that aren't courses that may not be offered in a homeschool and or private school. Years back, we used to have some students from St. Mary's that would go to the middle school or junior high at that time for some coursework. But those are the instances, and then homeschool. We have some homeschooled students that are shared time students.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions?
No, just take a look. You'll also find a fairly large chunk of information removed from 611 that really is redundant with what's found in 622. So
Yeah.
those two kind of
Yeah.
address the same topic, so we became a little more efficient and concise.
Good. Thank you. We will now move on to the administrative report.
Okay, buckle up. So the legislative session ends at midnight tonight, and the education omnibus bill was passed in both the House and Senate. It's just awaiting Governor Wall's signature, and as of 5:05 this evening, I hadn't received word that the governor had signed them, but it is all but a formality, I believe, that he will sign the omnibus bills. So let me cover the main points, because what I'll tell you is that there's a whole lot to unpack from this bill, because the entire bill itself is about 764 pages of stuff. Here's the big items. So a formula increase, which means that you take your per pupil formula year one and fiscal year 24 will go up by 4%, and then fiscal year 25 is 2%. The one thing different, that's not atypical. They usually give about a 3% increase, or they historically have, except for a few years where it was 0 and 0. This one is a little different because there is an inflationary piece with it, so it is tied to inflation based upon the CPI, but it's capped at 3%. So what it does is that tool actually gives school districts the opportunity to start budgeting more than 2 years at a time. If you run a business, it sure be nice if you could forecast 5, 7, 10 years. This tool will allow us to do that. So that's good news. We were successful in capturing some special education cross-subsidy funding. They're refunding about 44% of our cross-subsidy. For the school district in Owatonna, I'm gonna guess and look at Lori, about $2.5 million, something like that is what we'll recover. We also are receiving some funding with EL cross-subsidy. For us, that's about $100,000, something like that a year. Couple of unknown things that are coming to us is the new bill around unemployment and unemployment insurance aid. That's an unknown mandate for us at this point because we don't understand who will qualify for that, how they will qualify. But it goes in effect on May 28th, which is 6 days from today. And we have no idea how that's going to be navigated, but we're gonna have to figure it out. We did distance learning in 3 days, so we'll have to figure this out. But it's really an unknown piece for us because there's a couple, I mean, there's pluses and minuses, or there's pluses and challenges to each of these. One of the challenges is that we potentially could run into an issue where during the summer, we may not be able to hire the number of staff we need for programs. Because some of our staff may choose to take unemployment versus taking those summer positions. So we just don't know a lot about that, but that's one of the big biggies that came out of this. There's a little money tied to student support personnel. It actually goes up or doubles in the next biennium. We've been crying for mental health practitioners, counselors, social workers to address mental health with our students. This at least was a partial answer. So we'll be looking at some potential funding, or some potential staffing for next year, and then the year after that, or the next biennium actually, it goes up even more. So we'll see where that goes. A couple of other big ticket items. The READ Act. So they invested some dollars into reading and the curriculum. What I would share with you is I feel very good about where Owatonna, Michelle Krell has put our district in a good spot right now. So we've been proactive. The phonics pieces are pieces that we've started to weave into our curriculum already. So we're in a good place. We're not having to, and again, because of the forethought and planning that this was coming, we took those steps right away to address that. Like I said, there's a whole bunch. I'm just looking at bullet points here to see if there was anything else that really caught my attention. There are some pieces tied to discipline. One of those pieces is that we have to find an alternative so we can no longer, this sounds a little punitive, but there have been times when we have to suspend students in kindergarten through third grade if there's a safety issue in a building. They've taken that away, so you have to now find an alternative way to discipline K-3 students, which is a biggie because sometimes safety is an issue and you have to do that. But we'll have to figure that out, figure out and utilize the new director of the Minnesota Elementary School Principals Association, Michelle Krell, to help us navigate through that. Again, a lot to unpack. I gave you the really high points. I'll do a much deeper dive once we have some of this sort of figured out and mapped out. Share again at the upcoming board meeting. So you're going to get a regular installment. Even the legislative sessions end, we're still going to talk about it because we need to unpack it and then put it into practicality within our school district. But all in all, it was a pretty good session. Here's the best part of the legislative session for the Owatonna School District. We have been looking for a Learn to Earn grant for 2 years, and we got it. It's all waiting Governor Wall's signature, but that means $1 million for the Owatonna Public Schools. $900,000 of that is set up in training and equipment to help our students develop skills in mechatronics, that being robotics, mechanical engineering, as well as advanced manufacturing. So that will help put equipment in our new high school, or more advanced equipment, which will then tie into a 2-year degree program at Riverland so that students can walk away with that certification, and we can start that as early as 9th grade. And then we also set aside $100,000 of that for an Owatonna Opportunity Scholarship Fund, which is my topic for our June workshop session with the board to discuss what that looks like. But again, lot of hard work went in for the Riverland, the Chamber of Commerce, and our school district to secure that funding to really continue to move career pathways forward in our school district. So very happy about that. A few other things not legislatively. I want to recognize Haley. Mark said it best, we're going to really miss you, Haley. And whatever you do in life, it's going to be done with excellence. I know that. Because you're inspiring. I got a chance to hear you. I was one of 2 or 3 audience members that got to hear you speak in a speech meet. It was impressive, just impressive. And I believe at some point you're going to be up in front of a group of people maybe that are wanting to vote for you, or in law, or whatever you choose to do. But we're very proud of you. And take these skills to UW-Madison and let them know what Owatonna is all about. Okay? Thank you to her parents for sharing her for the last year with us. We're really proud of you, Haley. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. I would be remiss, though, if I didn't mention another individual that's here tonight, and he has no idea this is coming. I'd like Steve Bowman to come forward, please. Officer Bowman. We have an incredible relationship with the Owatonna Police Department, and we have had some really, really great school resource officers. Steve Bowman is one of them. If you walk into Owatonna Middle School on any given day, you are going to see him pushing cafeteria trays around, talking with kids, sometimes even kids that aren't in trouble, right, Steve? Okay. Dressing up like Uncle Fester on Halloween, okay? He goes over and above. Officer Bowman is going to be going back to the beat, if you will, with the police department. But he has served us so well, and I'm so proud, Steve, to call you a colleague and friend. And the fact that we have the best relationship with our police department here, because safety in our schools is #1, and having our resource officers there not only are providing safety, but relationships that you build with kids. Steve, congratulations. Thank you for your service to Owatonna Public Schools. You will be missed as well. But now when I see you and I'm driving 35, just wave at me, okay? Don't flip your cherries on. So I'd like to give Steve a round of applause for his service. That is all my report tonight. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Tonight, item 8 is the consent agenda. The quick reminder, we are approving the minutes from April 24 and May 8th, disbursement and personnel reports. Are there any reasons that we would pull one of these out? Hearing none, we'll entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I'm going to turn things over to Eric. It's a roll call vote.
Jolene?
Aye.
Deborah?
Aye.
Lori?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Elizabeth?
Aye.
Tim? Aye. And I, myself, is an aye. 7 will pass.
Motion carries. Thank you. A couple items to take up tonight. Board action required in item 9. First item, item A, is insurance renewal. I'll ask Mr. Elstad to give us a bird's eye view on this.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Chair, members of the board, tonight we'll be discussing our insurance renewal, and so I've asked Lori Voles to be available for questions, and if you wouldn't mind, Lori, coming up and just talking a little bit about what our renewals look like going into the next year. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Superintendent Elstad, just to give you a summary, starting with the health insurance, we have really good news. Health insurance premiums are driven on your actual claims, and our claims this year have improved from the previous year. So there, as a result, in our renewal, it's a 3% increase in premium, which is very, very good news. We are self-insured, which I think definitely, with our size district, assists us with controlling our premiums. And but it's all about claims. And fortunately, the result of our claims are such that we can renew at just only a 3% increase. Just to give you a reference point, probably according to our insurance agent, probably an average increase, a good increase is 6.5%. So we are running much better than even an average good renewal. So it's good news all the way around. And you'll see that in the packet there. A couple other things I want to touch on. Our dental insurance, again, self-insured, and no change in the rates there, so that's also very good news. And then also on the life and LTD insurance, that process was bid out this year. We have to do that about every 5 years. And our current carrier, Madison National Life, was the best deal in that bid competition, I'll say. And so the rates listed there are a result of that bid process. And again, very good news there as well. So that means the rates did not change on life and LTD either. That stays the same. So all around good financial news.
Anything to add, Mr. Elstad?
I don't believe I have anything to add. Thank you, Lori.
Good. Any questions?
I think it's just another good reminder, you know, we made that decision, what, 3 years ago or so?
Was self-insured?
yeah.
Yes. Yep.
And that was a big decision and a little bit, you know.
A tremendous
Thoughtful.
amount of work, but the stability that self-insured leaves the
This is amazing.
organization with is now the fruit of that labor is coming out.
Yeah. Well done.
Anything else? All right. I'm asking Eric to introduce this motion.
I move that the board accept the self-insured health insurance renewal with Blue Cross Blue Shield, the self-insured dental insurance renewal with Delta Dental, and the life insurance and long-term disability renewal with Madison National Life.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor with an aye? Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Item B is the 2022-2023 school year. And you might ask, why are we approving the school year on 6 days left in the school year? And Mr. Elstad will explain all that to us.
Yeah. So you approve an official calendar, and you did so about 18 months ago. But as part of our Department of Education requirement, we have to actually justify the actual days that students were in session based upon inclement weather. And so you'll note that during the 22-23 school year, we closed the district on December 22nd and January 3rd. We also then had a day, January 19th, February 22nd, and 23rd were e-learning days according to the new statutes regarding working with students remotely. And so what we're asking you to consider tonight is justifying the calendar that would rectify the dates that we missed school.
Any questions? Hearing none, will one of you be kind enough to introduce this motion for us?
I move that the board approve the final 2022-2023 school calendar as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor with an aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Item C is the new student school board representative. Mr. Elstad, if you would.
So board members, it was 6 years ago when we brought the first student school board representative to the main meeting to recognize that board member, the student school board member that would be joining us. Since that time, and because of the input that you've appreciated as a school board, we now have 2 members. And so last year, so Haley and Jace are actually our first duo of student reps. And what the decision of the board was to have a rotation so that there wasn't 2 new members coming on at the same time. And so as we talked about, Haley is leaving. Haley, I forgot to mention something. There's only a few times as a proud Norwegian that I can say the word Kjersten and really roll the R.
That's right.
But Haley, again, we're so great to have you, but you will be departing as your term is ending. Jace will enter his 2nd year of his term next year, so he will be our veteran. But we also put out an application or a request for applications to join us as a school board rep, and so we interviewed 5 sophomore candidates that are current sophomores at OHS, recognizing that they will then serve on the board as a student school board rep for 2 years. So we'll have a constant rotation. And I'm very proud tonight to not only recognize Haley, but also recognize our newest incoming student school board member, and that would be Erin Baker. Erin, if you would please stand, please. So Erin will be joining the board officially at August 28th, will be the official sort of swearing in meeting, if you will. She will join us at your board retreat in August to learn more about board work, operational plans, how that all works together. And it'll be riveting information, I think, in early August for Erin to take in. But Erin, thank you for your candidacy. And I would say again, we had a great group of candidates. The board members and Mr. Kath and myself, we deliberated for quite a while because there was just a really excellent group of candidates. And I just hope we keep getting that caliber of students. But Erin will no doubt represent the students at OHS well in conjunction with Jace. So once again, Erin, welcome aboard.
Just a quick follow-up observation and thought on that. As we interviewed these students, there were 5, and as each interviewed, I thought, that's a pretty good interview. Then the next one, that was a pretty good interview. And then Erin came in, and there was a bit of a force to be reckoned with her interview. And then as we deliberated, Mr. Elstad said, someday I'm going to get into an argument with Erin, and I'm going to lose.
Yes, I will.
Lori also sat in on these interviews, and I'm going to ask Lori to introduce this motion.
I move that Erin Baker be appointed as Student Council Board Representative. Let me rephrase. I move that Erin Baker be appointed as a Student School Board Representative.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? All in favor with an aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Congratulations, Erin. Item D would be the policy revisions. Now, this is the second reading. Sorry, we've had an opportunity to read these and ask our questions at previous meetings. Would one of you be kind enough to introduce this motion for us?
I move that the board approve the policy revisions as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. It's a good opportunity to revisit any questions with regard to those policies. There wasn't a lot that was changes in that particular batch of readings. Okay, hearing none. All in favor with an aye? Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Lori, before we leave this topic, as we were putting this meeting together, you talked a little bit about now you've sort of run the cycle. Do you want to talk just a little bit about sort of what a calendar looks like with regard to reviewing policy?
Sure, and I'll invite Sarah to comment if I get it wrong. But generally speaking, you know, when state laws are changed, then we're compelled, MSBA will recommend changes to us on our standard policies. And then we review those as a committee, and we try to do those fairly timely, so they'll come probably here even after this legislative session. So we'll bring those forward. And then in addition to that, Sarah, thankfully, keeps us organized and has a 3-year rotation where we try to review and touch every policy at least once in a 3-year period of time. So it just gives us a chance to keep them relevant and reflective of what's currently going on or if there are changes, so.
I appreciate that. Thank
Yep.
you. Last item tonight would be the gifts to the district. I'll ask Mr. Elstad one more time
When
to
I,
speak to that.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, when I look at our monthly list of gifts, I'm often reminded how philanthropic this community is, because it feels like if you need something, all you have to do is ask and people will step up. So as I look at this list, it's everything from fishing tackle for our fishing team, to instruments, to swings, playground equipment. This community just continues to give back, and I so appreciate that. And again, this is not something you see everywhere. This is a unique thing we have in Owatonna, and I'm so grateful for a community that supports our students and supports our schools. The big one I will call out for you, Washington PTO raised $12,770 to upgrade the playground equipment at Washington Elementary. And of course, they are planting trees of the shade that they'll never sit under, probably. But that's just great. So again, very philanthropic and very grateful for the gifts given to the district.
Questions? Hearing none. If one of you would please introduce this motion.
I move that the board approve the resolution for gifts, the acceptance of gifts as presented.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. I'll ask Eric to do it one more time. This is a roll call vote.
Jolene?
Aye.
Deborah?
Aye.
Lori?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Elizabeth?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
I myself is an aye. 7-0 pass.
Motion carries. Thank you. Last item tonight would be to adjourn. I will make that motion that we adjourn this meeting.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor with an aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Good meeting tonight, folks. Thank you.